Lots of representation. Yes, but I.
Hi.
I know.
Hey, you were on mailing list, weren't you?
Yeah, I was on the mailing list.
Jim lives down the street.
Yeah, Jim is right down the street too. The funny thing is, this one, the one, this one, right next to it too.
Yeah, I see that. I know, I check it out the other day.
Yeah, I'm sitting there, I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I really can't say he's being
He did a
denied or
whole-
right, that it would be like,
Right.
living one right there.
Right there.
corner.
Right. Good there.
I ordered some mud on road signs, they're probably gonna be here after Natalie.
They've been doing a reasonably decent
Yeah.
job cleaning it up at the end of the day.
I called the road commission the first day, I'm like, hey, my signs have disappeared. You got it? No, we don't have anything like that.
Oh, that's scary.
That's a great picture of that dig over there.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, you could really tell a couple of days ago, because they had panned off that north side already.
Yeah.
And so the long stick there is going through and like the mud is up to the top of the tracks.
I was impressed, those guys with semis.
Yeah,
backing
they're-
up. Yeah,
Where were they dumping it? Is it a farm?
No, they're taking it up to Hupsher's old gravel pit, the
Oh, okay.
Hard Creek bought.
Yeah, Joe and Neil has
Yep.
that over the house.
Yep.
Well, it's 7 o'clock, so. You ready? We call the order. Lake Isabella, Thursday, December 19th, 2024. Do a roll call. Marty Howe,
I'm here.
Angela Schofield,
Here.
Jeff Gray's not here, Greg Balcom.
Here.
And Jim Urban is here. Let's all rise and say the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Did everybody get a chance to look at the minutes? Any changes on the minutes? This one? Okay, can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting?
I will make a motion.
Can I get a second? Yeah. So, approval of the minutes are yay. Move on to business. We have public hearing and action for requested variance 20 and 24-02. Village manager.
Your meeting tonight to consider a request at 2010 to 2012 Castle Court. The applicants have been awarded, they've received a zoning permit to build a detached garage 30 by 40. With two 10-foot doors, they would like to change that to 12-foot doors. Section 1234-8, paragraph 5 of our zoning ordinance limits it to a single door of 10 feet or exceeding 10 feet, but capped at 14. So you could have a 10 and up to a 14. They would like to do T12, so it would actually stay at the same 24, I think. So the applicant's property is at the end of a cul-de-sac that, with the exception of Mr. Terreros and his wife in the audience tonight, they own pretty much the entire cul-de-sac at this point in time. So all the way around the bend there, that is the Levitt's property. But this would be located just north of their home. There's a photo from kind of the cul-de-sac looking towards the house. It's in your packet. You can sort of see the grade issue that they're talking about. Particularly if you look towards like the back deck in your packet, you can see that does drop off in the back there. This is what it looks like from the road, and you can start to see where they've had to cut into the hill there due to the topography issues and that, where it's kind of rolling and you got high and low, and the street is above that area, a good couple of feet, by the time you get back to where they're proposing to build. That's where it kind of staked out right there. Rectangular building. They're their points for finishes on, you know, windows and doors, that they're all set on that. In our ordinance, we require an application to meet at least 7 of the 10 conditions to be eligible for a variance. And looking at the 10 conditions, I'll run through them here real quick. I would say 2 of them they don't meet. I would say 7 they probably do, and 1, depending on your interpretation, they may or may not. So strict application of the zoning code requirements would prohibit the use or development of land in a manner otherwise allowed in the zoning district. So they've already got a zoning permit, so you can't say that they need the variance to develop because they've already got that. The request is not related to a financial or economic hardship of the applicant, so that's a condition they meet. The parcel or structure cannot be reasonably developed or utilized in a manner allowed by the zoning district where it's located. They've already got a zoning permit, so that would be, you know, strike 2. The situation is not self-created and that the immediate practical difficulty causing the need of the variance was not created by the applicant or their immediate predecessor in title. That they meet that condition. This isn't a self-created problem. Granting the variance would not impair the public's health, safety, or well-being. I see no concerns with that one. This is the next one is the one that, you know, how you interpret that slope issue. Is there a practical difficulty or not? And that's granting the variance is based on a practical difficulty or extraordinary circumstance such as not limited to topography or physical features of the land. The next one, the next 4, I believe they all meet. The variance shall not bestow upon the applicant a privilege not enjoyed by other properties in the same zoning district. From your package, you can see that there are other garages that have 2 12-foot doors, literally one at their corner.
And then both of them.
If granted variance would be the minimum necessary, I think it would, especially if you look at it from the 10 and 14, 2 12s. Yeah, I did go to CMU for one of my degrees, but I do know that equals 24. The variance will not be injurious or detrimental to any properties adjoining. They own all the properties that are adjoining immediately. And this is not a situation that's so recurrent that it would be more practical for us to amend the ordinance. I don't think that would be the correct route here. I do think it would be appropriate for the ZBA to maybe have comments in the record to encourage the planning commission to potentially look at this.
Yeah.
Because if you look through the materials I presented, you know, the village has a long history when it comes to how we got to allowing detached garages. And it went from absolutely not to, you know, more of a gradual yes over time, with the biggest impact being, you know, we want to allow opportunities for people to store stuff inside, so it's not outside. We recognize that people have a ton of toys now, but we also don't want warehouse looking structures in our neighborhood. So that's why we do the point system where you got to have windows, you got to have doors, you got to match the house. So you can do these buildings as long as you're doing it in a way that is harmonious in a residential setting. So you're not building the warehouse that someone could turn into, you know, their muscle car garage, you know, and do evening work projects out there all week, you know, that kind of stuff. With that, I received no comments from the public through email, phone. All people within 300 feet were mailed. The list is in your packet. Notice was published in the Morning Sun well in advance of the 15-day requirement in the Zoning Enabling Act. As your zoning administrator, I would not object if a variance was granted here just based on it meeting the conditions in the ordinance, particularly that there are other garages that this exact scenario exists for. So with that, unless you have questions for me, the next step would be the applicant and then public comment.
So you have 15 minutes to.
I could talk for hours.
Comments on this.
I'm long-winded.
I know you can
No,
talk.
I'm just, you're fine, you can stay seated, yeah, it's fine.
Okay, so, well, one of Jennifer and I and Fernando, our only neighbor and dear friend who came with us tonight. We appreciate, again, you folks taking the opportunity to, you know, gather and have this meeting because of our request to do so. And we appreciate making this consideration, you know, in December, not January. We did hire Neat and Green, one of our neighbors, Jen Oliver neighbor down the block, David. I think him and his wife just went to Florida, but James Foltz, who runs our company, is a good friend of ours. He does all of our irrigation, everything at our house there. He's the one that's actually building it on behalf of Neat and Green. He runs Neat and Green for Dave and his wife. And he's been building pole barns since he's been a young man, he said. He's a good guy. but we appreciate the opportunity. We do have, we're not looking, we're just asking for a minimum change, and, the minimum to add just that one garage. I didn't know the ordinance when we looked into this. Thought, oh, there should, looking around the neighborhood at some of our friends and neighbors, really good people. As I bike the neighborhood, I always, see Greg, yours, Jim, beautiful pole barns and on some of the other streets. So we decided, we have so many toys, we decided, based on what we own and what we have and how much property, and it wouldn't cause any type of visual problems with the neighbors, Fernando being our only neighbor, and I'm not really quite sure that it would you wouldn't even be able to barely see it from your window possibly, but my point is, we've acquired some things where our boat, which is currently sitting on one of our lots across our house, which, aesthetically, I really don't want to keep it there. I'm not even sure, if we're even allowed to keep it on an empty lot. We own it and pay taxes on it, but that boat, the 25-foot boat that we just purchased a couple of years ago, we prefer to keep that indoors. So that's one of the reasons why we need one of the 12-foot doors. The other reason is, the only other reason we want it to look, aesthetically pleasing. There's a lot of other pole barns around the neighborhood. They do have, I believe, a 12-foot and a 10-foot door. They're nice looking, they're nice looking buildings, but aesthetically, we want it to match our house, same siding. And it would look better with two 12-foot doors. So with all of we have other stuff at our cabin in the UP we want to bring down. It's just outside sitting right now in a trailer. I have a trailer I'd like to put in there, a Legend trailer with our snowmobiles, like to back that in the same pole bar. So we need the room on both sides for the 12-foot. It'd be a lot easier for us rather than spend, all this money, which is, it's gonna be quite expensive to build this. It'd be really expensive to build this, and yet we still will not be able to store, the things that we worked our entire lives for. We'd have to put them across the street in the cul-de-sac, and we like living there, as we all do, because we like to look at the woods. I'm sure Fernando, I never asked my dear friend, but we got my boat across the street wrapped. Now we have our trailer for our, side by side across the street, waiting to put it into the pole barn with everything else. But in any event, we just I do feel that we do meet all of the elements that require a variance. Of course, what am I gonna say? We don't meet them. I do feel we meet them, and I do feel that it will aesthetically add to the look of the neighborhood, our house, maybe even increase the property value. I'm not looking to increase somebody's taxes, but it's definitely gonna be a very nice looking structure. And so I don't really have anything else to say other than, boy, we really need it. And we've seen how you guys put yours up, and we're kind of envious, Greg. Tim, I don't know where you live, and I'm not gonna stalk you and this nice lady, but I'm just saying, we need storage. And also, this is irrelevant. My wife, I have all my biking gear in our house in a room. It's my wife's craft room. She wants it back. So I have to, we're building a little room upstairs that's totally irrelevant to my request there. And that's gonna be my bike room with all my biking gear, right?
Yeah.
So there you go. If anything, it's for the wife, right? Anyway, I have nothing for, I'm happy to answer any questions. Thanks for your time, for coming out on a snowy night. I do appreciate all of you. So, and Fernando.
So now we will open up for public comment. Anybody has anybody on the Zoom call or anything?
Can I make a comment?
You sure can.
Thank you. For the record, my name is Fernando Terreros. I'm 2002 Castle Court. My neighbors. As I look around the neighborhood, there are some nice pole barns. Obviously, I'm envious of them because I like to have them, but I see no objection. I look in the future and I see that, 12-foot door is not a problem when you consider that some of the fifth wheels or motorhomes are 13 feet and plus, considering air conditioners and that. So when you look at the future, some of these pole barns may be with higher doors in the future for this community, that recreation is a big part of it. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Okay, public comments are closed. So. Anybody have anything to say on the board?
I agree with all of, with everything that Tim laid out here, all of the items in blue, I agree with him. One thing that I would say is that I think we should ask the planning commission to revisit this.
I would agree.
I don't see any problem with 12-foot doors. I think they still look nice and, I mean, it'd be silly to have one 10-foot and one 12-foot.
Yeah, more symmetrical.
I mean, I could understand if you were gonna have, you know, I know in the variance, if you're gonna have more than two doors, one door has to be like popped out, right? Is something?
Three now.
Or three doors, one has to be popped out, so like, and that does look nice. Jared Peterson's got that, and that one looks really nice, so, but I agree with everything here. And but I do think we should have the planning
Yeah, I do
commission take a peek
too.
at that.
There's enough other things that are there architecturally
Yeah.
that are required to do that I think kind of mitigates the worry of a warehouse looking door. And to me, it just doesn't look right to have the two different sizes unless you're really gonna do something different on the look of the face of the building or something like that. So I would agree with that. Are there any objections to the granting the variance from anybody on this?
No.
Okay. So. We don't do this very often, so you gotta bear with me a little bit, okay? I do this every time.
Just need a motion.
So,
So I'd like to make a motion, or what I make the motion, right?
Anybody can.
Anybody can, go ahead. I'll make the motion to approve the waiver. Can I get a,
second, yeah, I'll second.
okay,
Thank you.
so then we take a roll call vote, is that right, Tim?
Yep.
Okay. Let's start with Marty.
Yeah.
You approve, okay, Greg,
Yes.
Angela,
Yes.
I approve as well. The ayes have it.
Thank you so much.
What else do we have, Timbo?
That's it, unless anybody has some general public comments on anything at all. If not,
I'd like to just, if I may just thank everybody for your time coming out tonight after work or whatever you're doing on a snowy night, and it means a lot to us and just really appreciate it.
And honestly, it's so much better now that because prior to having these 10 things, it was really difficult to get anything done. So it's actually nice to be able to approve it, you know, from a, objective view versus
The new
subjective.
bylaws,
yeah,
right.
It's
there's way more flexibility for you.
It
guys,
is,
so.
I really like it, and, I mean, we can argue back and forth on certain points, that's certainly there, but, in this case, I don't.
I think this one's
didn't
pretty
see
cut and
any-
dry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, if there's no other business than that, meeting is adjourned at 7:16.